Throughout Module 5, I was kind of surprised and confused, especially during the beginning and then throughout the whole module until nearly the end, about standards and objectives, as I hadn't used those same terms in my planning before. And after learning what a standard is and how to unpack one, a unit is the perfect way to ensure that all the lessons are incorporated and directed to teaching a comprehensive standard and making sure that students have gradually worked up to a deeper level of knowledge for the standard presented and the standard that's trying to be taught to students. And before Module 5, I hadn't ever considered, and it had never even crossed my mind, that a teacher wouldn't use backwards mapping and that teachers didn't plan in units. I just assumed that's how you would present learning to students. And when I think of teaching not in that way, it just seems really impossible to teach without having a unit or having planned beforehand. And just seems like all the teaching would be purposeless for the lessons, and that it would be wasting the students' time and the teacher's time. It seems like it would be really confusing for both the teacher and the students. You really wouldn't be able to differentiate in your classroom, and it seems like it would be kind of boring as well, because I feel like the teacher would just constantly have to be thinking in the moment, and I think the students would lose interest because they weren't really clear about what they had to learn that day. And also there's no way to check for understanding because the teacher doesn't know what the end goal was or is for the students. And in Module 5, I also clearly saw the value of planning and for units during my class observations. And it was really clear that the teachers had thought through the entire year, not just the units, but the whole year as a concept. And the teacher definitely understood what the central idea was of the unit, and it helped convey the idea of the class and of the unit as a whole, so that the students could actually get to the point of their unit and actually address those objectives the teacher wrote. And during my observations, some effective formative assessments from my observed classes were the teacher's hand assessments. So the teacher would ask the students how much they understood, with 5 being I could teach it, and 3 being all right, and 2 meaning they kind of understood it, they feel okay but not very confident, and then just a fist meaning that they had no idea. And this teacher then, after she did this formative assessment, she grouped her students into their number groups of either 5, 3, 2, or a fist, and they could work together at the level that they were in terms of comprehension. And I really liked this and thought it was very effective because it helped in differentiation, so that the teacher didn't have to check something like an exit card and then go back, group them, and then tell them later. She could do it right then and there, and it helped the students reflect on their own abilities without having the teacher to tell the students that they kind of understand, they mostly understand that they're advanced. The students usually know, and it helps the students realize when they need to ask for help as well. And it really helped the teacher allocate her time appropriately to each ability group, so that she didn't spend too much time with a 3 when the 2s and the fists really needed more help and assistance. And I saw one ineffective formative assessment in my observations, and that observations, and also what I noted during the class discussion, is just teachers usually rely on observation, or they rely too much on simple observation. And one teacher I saw only used observation as her formative assessment, and I think that it's really important to use that, because sometimes you can just see it on the student's face if they understand or if they don't understand. But I think using observation consistently as a formative assessment doesn't really allow a teacher to know if 25 or even 30 or more students actually have understood and comprehended the objective of the day or the week without having some kind of exit card or other formative assessment that really does test them. And during the module as well, I saw a lot of value for planning ahead, and that it does really help the teacher understand differentiation and think of those special learning modalities and how to tailor a lesson or a unit to all of the students and not just one group. It also gives the teacher an ease of mind, and it ensures that you know and understand what you actually will be teaching. And it helps you not have to look at lesson plans during lessons because you've done all the research beforehand. So it helps you be a more confident teacher. And then one thing as well that I hadn't really thought of, but I kind of knew in the back of my mind before Module 5 was that, ironically, in my planning interview, the teachers told me that their biggest mistake was actually over-planning, because if you plan too far in advance for specific lessons, not necessarily units, but if you plan your lessons too far, that it doesn't really leave a lot of room for the students to direct the learning. And in terms of planning for International Baccalaureate and specifically the primary years program, because it's student-led, it's actually to a teacher's detriment to plan further than a few weeks in advance. And I really enjoyed discussing and observing my mentor and her opinions about how much a teacher should plan ahead, and sometimes that too much planning can be really inefficient and not a really good use of time.